Hold on to your popcorn because this isn't a fight, it's a full-blown cinematic universe. Gervonta "Tank" Davis versus Jake Paul, the showdown nobody believed would actually happen, is officially the grand finale of boxing's wildest saga. Forget tradition, forget logic. This is chaos wrapped in pay-per-view pricing, and the internet can't stop drooling over it. This isn't just a match, it's a cultural collision. On one side, you've got Tank Davis, Baltimore's knockout king, the man who turns ribs into origami and confidence into concussions. On the other, Jake Paul, YouTube's bad boy turned boxing's biggest troll, the influencer who made fighting more viral than Fortnite. And now, after years of shade, leaks, and trash talk that could fill an HBO script, they're finally stepping into the ring for what's being called the final chapter. This isn't about belts. It's about ego, legacy, and who gets to own the internet when the smoke clears. Because in this fight, reputations aren't just on the line, entire brands are. And after what we've just uncovered from inside both camps, trust me, this isn't going to end with a handshake. Welcome to All Access, the final chapter. The gloves are off and the receipts are out. The road to this fight didn't begin in a boxing gym. It started in chaos, a cocktail of ego, clout, and pure pettiness that could only exist in the social media age. Gervonta Davis, the undefeated pit bull of boxing, has spent his entire career knocking out contenders like it's a paid hobby. Meanwhile, Jake Paul, the self-proclaimed problem child, has been punching his way from YouTube thumbnails to ESPN headlines, turning every doubter into a dollar sign. Their collision was inevitable. It wasn't if, it was when. It began subtly, a tweet here, a diss there. Back in 2023, Jake Paul, fresh off bullying retired MMA fighters, decided to shoot higher. He called out Gervonta Davis on X with a classic Jake move. "Tank too small, I'd fold him like laundry." It wasn't even noon before boxing Twitter went nuclear. Tank clapped back instantly, replying, "You'd fold from the first jab, clown." The internet had its popcorn moment. That was the spark. From that day, this wasn't about boxing. It was about dominance in the digital coliseum. For months, Jake Paul baited Tank like a fisherman dangling gold in front of a shark. He posted edited sparring videos showing himself dropping world champs. He wore fake 0-1 shirts mocking Davis' undefeated record just to stir the pot. And when Tank ignored him, Jake took it personal, uploading a diss track called Knockout Numbers, claiming he'd end another Floyd Mayweather product. You could practically hear boxing purists having collective strokes. But the real chaos began when an alleged leaked sparring clip hit Reddit. A blurry video that appeared to show Jake flooring a smaller southpaw with a right hook. The uploader claimed it was Tank Davis' sparring partner. Within hours, this Jake drop Tank was trending, even though Tank wasn't even in the clip. Fans roasted it into oblivion. "That ain't Tank, that's his Uber driver," one comment said. But the damage was done. Jake got what he wanted: attention, controversy, and clicks. Davis, though, wasn't playing influencer games. In true Tank fashion, he responded the only way he knows how, with pure menace. "Keep my name out your Wi-Fi," he posted on Instagram Live, cracking his knuckles mid-stream. Fans felt that through the screen. The vibe was clear. Jake was poking at a lion that didn't find him funny. Still, Jake kept doubling down. He showed up to one of Gervonta's weigh-ins uninvited, holding a giant poster of himself wearing a crown with the words "The Real Money Fighter" printed across it. Tank's entourage had to be restrained. Even Mayweather's security team stepped in to avoid a full-on brawl. The look in Gervonta's eyes that day said it all. This fight stopped being promotion. It became personal. Behind the scenes, networks were salivating. Showtime, DAZN, and Prime Video reportedly entered a bidding war that felt like the Super Bowl for streaming rights. One insider leaked that the negotiations were so heated, an exec from DAZN allegedly said, "We'll sell our souls for this one." In a world where boxing struggles to stay relevant, this fight wasn't just a payday, it was a resurrection. Meanwhile, fans were split right down the middle. On one side, the purists. Old school boxing heads swearing Jake Paul didn't deserve to breathe the same ring air as Tank Davis. On the other, Jake's army of Gen Z disciples, kids who grew up on TikTok and think press conferences are the new battleground. The trash talk wasn't just between fighters, it was between eras. "Boxing is dying," Jake declared. "I'm the new generation." Tank fired back with surgical precision. You can't be the new generation if you've never been hit by reality. As training camps began, leaks started pouring like TMZ rain. Word spread that Jake brought in an army of ex-Mayweather trainers and sports scientists. His gym looked like NASA with boxing gloves, monitors tracking every punch, drones recording footwork, even AI simulations predicting Tank's moves. In comparison, Tank's camp was pure old-school grit. Dark gyms, bag drills, and a silence that felt dangerous. He didn't need computers. He is the algorithm. Then came the first big scandal. A whistleblower from Jake's team anonymously messaged a popular fight blog, claiming Jake was faking injuries to manipulate the schedule. According to the leak, Jake wanted to delay the fight by 2 months to release a documentary on Netflix titled Problem Child vs. the World. Tank's response? He need a movie to motivate him. I just need a mirror. Cold. Fans couldn't tell if this was marketing or murder in the making, and right when things looked ready to calm down, Jake dropped a bomb. He released footage of himself training with Floyd Mayweather. The internet lost its mind. Did Floyd switch sides? Was this betrayal? It took hours before people realized it was AI generated. A deepfake. Jake had literally used AI to fake training with the man who built Tank's career. The disrespect was off the charts. One reporter asked Tank for comment. His answer was 5 chilling words. I don't play internet games. By this point, the hype was uncontrollable. Even celebrities started picking sides. Drake threw shade at Jake on a live stream saying, "Tank hits like karma." Meanwhile, Logan Paul hyped up his brother on Impulsive saying, "Jake's about to shock the world again." Shaquille O'Neal even jumped in on Twitter, writing, "If Jake beats Tank, I'll dye my eyebrows pink." That tweet alone got 500,000 likes. The entire internet was turning into a circus. And the ring was the stage. When press conferences kicked off, they didn't disappoint. Jake arrived in a fur coat, cigar in hand, and sunglasses that screamed, "I've watched too much Scarface." Tank, calm but cold, just stared through him. The tension could have powered Las Vegas. When the moderator tried to speak, Jake cut him off. "I'm sending this man back to Baltimore on a stretcher." Tank's response? A quiet, sinister grin. The kind you only see from someone who already knows the ending. And then, out of nowhere, the biggest headline yet. An anonymous source leaked a medical report claiming Jake suffered a minor jaw fracture during sparring. Jake denied it immediately, calling it fake news, but the rumor exploded anyway. Some fans believed it, others said it was bait, but the whispers grew. Was Jake hiding an injury? Was the fight even real anymore? Meanwhile, Tank's team stayed silent, which made everyone more nervous. His coaches said he'd been training like a man possessed. One insider described it best. He's not preparing for a fight, he's preparing for vengeance. The media started calling it boxing's apocalypse. Reporters predicted record-breaking viewership. Insiders called it the fight that could save or sink the sport. One fan on Reddit summed it up perfectly. This ain't a boxing match. This is God versus algorithm. By the time both fighters touched down in Vegas for Fight Week, the city was glowing like a live-action meme. Billboards everywhere, interviews non-stop, and a tension you could taste in the air. Fans camped outside hotels. Paparazzi fought over camera angles. Drake reportedly placed $1 million bet on Tank, which, given his track record, made half the internet nervous. It was no longer about who'd win. It was about who'd survive the spotlight. Because in the final chapter of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul, one man was fighting for respect, and the other was fighting for relevance. And when those gloves touch, the truth, and possibly Jake Paul's consciousness, will hit the canvas first. The build-up to fight night became bigger than the fight itself. Vegas hadn't seen energy like this since Mayweather versus McGregor. Only this time, it was somehow wilder, louder, and even more disrespectful. Everywhere you looked, posters screamed, "Final chapter, Davis versus Paul." Hotels were packed, sportsbooks were on fire, and TikTokers were interviewing Uber drivers about their fight predictions like they were ESPN analysts. The hype wasn't just global, it was biblical. Jake Paul arrived in Vegas like a walking movie trailer. He stepped off a private jet wearing a white mink coat, a diamond problem child chain, and sunglasses that screamed main character syndrome. Cameras followed him like a presidential motorcade. His entourage, including Logan Paul, a few influencers, and a film crew that could rival Netflix, recorded every move. It wasn't a fight camp, it was a content machine. He tweeted, "I don't train for moments, I create them." Within minutes, it had 2 million likes. 2 million likes. Meanwhile, Gervonta Davis touched down quietly. No entourage, no speeches, just that familiar Baltimore swagger and a gym bag. No flashy cars, no theatrics, because real killers don't need cameras. They bring their own silence. When reporters asked him about Jake's showboating, he said, "He's an entertainer, I'm an executioner." The clip hit social media like a grenade. Fans declared it the coldest line of the year. Then came the open workouts, and that's when the mind games hit new heights. Jake showed up blasting his own song through massive speakers, shadowboxing in slow motion for the cameras. He did backflips, threw air punches, and yelled, "This ain't YouTube, this is legacy." The crowd booed. Tank arrived right after, wearing a simple hoodie, barely speaking. He didn't do a routine. He just walked into the ring, threw 5 punches, boom, 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 and the bag literally broke off its chain. The crowd lost their minds. Jake looked shaken for the first time. But oh no, the chaos didn't stop there. Rumors started spreading that Jake's team had tried to change glove size at the last minute. Supposedly, they wanted a smaller glove for a fairer fight. Translation: panic mode. Tank's camp fired back immediately, calling it rookie desperation. One of Tank's trainers said on Instagram Live, "You can't resize fear." The quote went viral in minutes. Then came the leaked footage that set the internet ablaze, an alleged backstage clip of Jake Paul shouting at his team, "I'm not sparring that southpaw again. He's too fast!" Fans went nuts. Was Jake losing confidence? His brother Logan jumped online to do damage control, claiming it was taken out of context. But the clip had already done its job. Tank's camp smelled blood. Meanwhile, Vegas turned into a meme war zone. Billboards popped up saying "Silence the internet" with Tank's face on one side, and "Silence the doubt" with Jake's on the other. Fans plastered the city with stickers reading "Real boxers hit back." Even casinos joined in. One hotel displayed "Pray for Jake" in neon lights. It was trolling on a global scale, and that's when the celebrity reactions started flooding in. Floyd Mayweather posted a cryptic story. "Legacy can't be bought." Everyone assumed it was aimed at Jake. Conor McGregor, never one to miss an opportunity, tweeted, "Let the YouTuber dream while he's still got his brain cells." Snoop Dogg said on a live stream, "I'm betting on Tank. Jake about to learn what Baltimore hands feel like." On the other side, KSI, the YouTube OG, showed support for Jake, saying, "We built this lane, now it's time to own it." The entire entertainment world was split like a family dinner during a divorce. The press conference that followed was pure chaos. The crowd wasn't just divided, it was hostile. Half chanting "Tank," half screaming "Jake!" Jake showed up wearing boxing trunks made of money print. Tank wore all black, silent as a funeral. The moderator barely got through introductions before Jake started talking. "He's 5'5" and fighting out of his weight class. This man should be fighting garden gnomes." The crowd roared. Tank didn't even blink. When his turn came, he said calmly, he talked like he already planning his excuses. And then, boom. The brawl. Jake shoved Tank during the face-off. A mistake so big it'll go down in fight history. Tank didn't flinch. He just laughed. That eerie, low chuckle that made even the security guards nervous. Within seconds, the stage erupted. Trainers yelling, security rushing in, microphones hitting the floor. The perfect pre-fight explosion. ESPN cut the feed. Twitter broke. Tank laugh trended worldwide. Someone slowed the laugh down to 0.5 speed and made it sound like a horror trailer. "He laughed like the Grim Reaper," one fan wrote. After that moment, the tone shifted. Jake wasn't trolling anymore. He looked human. Reporters noticed it. Analysts noticed it. Even Logan noticed it. He told Impulsive, "Jake's locked in, but Tank's presence feels different. Like he's not fighting a man. He's fighting a mission." And then came the weigh-in. Both men made weight, barely. But the tension, off the charts. Tank stepped on the scale first, 135 pounds of pure menace. Jake followed, 185 pounds, smirking, flexing. The size difference looked absurd, but Tank's eyes never moved. He stared right through Jake, no blinking, no smirk. It was psychological warfare at its finest. Fans said Jake looked like a boxer. Tank looked like death in a hoodie. The internet reached nuclear levels. Drake doubled down with another $1 million bet. Again, on Tank. Logan bet on Jake. Floyd allegedly threw $500,000 on his protege. Even Elon Musk tweeted, streaming this fight on X, breaking the internet one knockout at a time. But the biggest shock came hours before fight night. A leaked audio file from Jake's camp hit social media. The recording allegedly captured Jake saying, "If I lose, I'm still the headline." The internet froze. It was the ultimate admission of defeat before the bell even rang. Jake denied it immediately, calling it AI-generated trash. But fans weren't convinced. Some said he was already preparing his post-fight monologue. Meanwhile, Tank was silent. No tweets, no posts, no interviews. Just one cryptic story. A photo of his gloves with the caption, "This is what destiny looks like." The calm before the storm. Vegas was a circus by the eve of the fight. Celebrities flooded in. Rihanna, LeBron, Mike Tyson, Justin Bieber, Kim Kardashian. The most random assembly of fame ever seen ringside. Street vendors were selling Paul's funeral t-shirts. A random guy dressed as a priest was walking the strip offering pre-fight blessings. The city had turned into a living meme. But amidst all the noise, the whispers kept growing. Some fans speculated about a possible fixed fight. Others swore Tank was training with a secret strategy, a new counterpunch style no one had seen. Jake's side leaked confidence clips, but the energy felt off. People could feel it. The memes said it best. Jake's acting brave, Tank's acting biblical. By fight day, the internet had already crowned this the most anticipated brawl of the decade. It wasn't just YouTube versus boxing anymore. It was mainstream versus mayhem, legacy versus algorithm. Every fan had chosen their warrior. Every influencer had picked a side. And when the lights dimmed, one thing became painfully clear. This wasn't just a sport anymore. This was spectacle, drama, and revenge, all rolled into 12 rounds of madness. Because when Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul stepped into that ring, it wasn't about who could punch harder. It was about who could survive the pressure of millions watching, waiting to see whose empire would crumble first. And after the final bell, one man's silence would say everything. The lights dropped. The crowd erupted and the arena shook like an earthquake sponsored by adrenaline. Cameras panned over the chaos. A-listers in the front row, entourages screaming, fans waving homemade signs that read, "Tank kills algorithms and send Jake back to YouTube." The energy wasn't normal. It was primal. This was more than a fight. It was a cultural execution dressed as pay-per-view entertainment. Jake Paul strutted into the ring first, music blaring, fireworks popping, holding a gold chain shaped like a boxing glove. His entrance looked like a billionaire's tantrum. He was grinning, but it felt forced, like he was trying to convince himself this was still just content. Behind him, Logan hyped him up, yelling, "Let's show them who built this game!" But his eyes gave him away. For the first time, even Logan looked scared. Then came Gervonta Davis. No fireworks, no theatrics, just a dark walk, a hoodie pulled tight, and an entire arena chanting his name like a war drum. Every step echoed. When Tank finally entered the ring, the cameras zoomed in on his eyes. Pure ice. He wasn't there for showmanship. He was there to erase someone. And when the referee brought them together for final instructions, you could feel the temperature drop. Jake smirked. Tank didn't blink. Round one began, and instantly, Jake's confidence evaporated. Tank moved like smoke, dodging, weaving, testing distance. Jake threw the first jab, wild, heavy, desperate. It landed on air. Tank's counter came like lightning, snap, and Jake's head jolted. The crowd screamed. It wasn't a knockout, but it was a message. Welcome to real boxing. Jake tried to play the aggressor, but his punches looked like TikTok edits. Flashy, no substance. Tank's combos were surgical. He wasn't swinging for drama. He was performing a slow dissection. Every body shot landed like a punctuation mark. Ringside mics caught Tank whispering mid-round, "You still think this is content?" Fans lost their minds. By round two, Jake's face started swelling. The flashy bravado was gone. He was breathing heavy, pacing nervously between exchanges. His corner yelled, "Stick to the jab," while Tank's corner calmly said, "Time him." You could tell who was fighting and who was surviving. Then it happened. The punch that turned the internet into a morgue. Tank feinted left, Jake bit, and boom! A right hook detonated across his chin. Jake dropped like an app crashing. The crowd erupted in disbelief. Ringside cameras caught celebrities jumping out of their seats. Drake screaming, "I told y'all!" Logan's jaw hit the floor. Security had to hold fans back from storming the ring. The floor. Security had to hold fans back from storming the ring. Jake somehow got up, wobbling, glassy-eyed, trying to act like he was fine. The referee asked if he could continue. Jake nodded like a malfunctioning robot. Tank smiled. He knew it was over. Round 3 began, and Tank unleashed violence wrapped in poetry. Left hook, uppercut, body shot, each one cleaner than the last. The crowd was on its feet. Jake's defense crumbled. Then out of nowhere, boom, a second right-hand cannon dropped Jake for good. Out cold. The problem child had officially been solved. Silence. For 5 seconds, the arena went dead quiet. Even Tank didn't celebrate. He just stood there, gloves hanging, staring down at Jake like a man looking at unfinished business finally complete. Then the eruption came. A wall of screams, camera flashes, and chaos. Gervonta Davis had just ended the influencer invasion in one historic knockout. Commentators were losing their voices. "That's it! That's the final chapter," one yelled. Others were speechless. The ref waved it off. Jake was done. His empire, built on callouts and chaos, had finally met the one opponent you can't out-tweet: reality. The medical team rushed in, cameras cut away, and Tank simply walked back to his corner like it was just another day at the office. No taunting, no showboating, just a quiet nod. The statement had been made. The internet melted instantly. Within minutes, hashtags flooded social media. Ripe Jake Paul, Tank time, boxing restored. Memes appeared before Jake even sat up. One had his knockout freeze frame with the caption, "When Wi-Fi disconnects mid-upload." Another said, "Jake Paul just got logged out of reality." Twitter was a war zone of laughter, shock, and disbelief. Celebrities reacted in real time. 50 Cent tweeted, "Damn, he got hit like rent was due." Snoop Dogg posted a clip saying, "This is what happens when you talk spicy to professionals." Even KSI, Jake's biggest rival, couldn't resist. "I didn't even have to fight him. Tank did it for all of us." But the wildest reaction came from Floyd Mayweather. He posted a black and white photo of Tank with the caption, "Discipline over drama." No emojis, no hashtags, just dominance. The message was clear. The student had become the master. Jake's camp tried to control the narrative immediately. Within hours, Logan posted a video saying, "He fought his heart out. He proved he's a real fighter." Fans weren't buying it. Comment sections were brutal. "Bro, your brother fought like a sponsored ad." Another wrote, "This wasn't a fight, it was a correction." The internet had spoken. Meanwhile, Tank's post-fight interview went viral instantly. "He talked like he was boxing's future," Tank said calmly. "Now he knows who built it." No gloating, no jokes, just truth. The crowd erupted into chants of "Tank! Tank! Tank!" The clip hit every major platform in seconds. Even casual fans who didn't know boxing were suddenly quoting him like a philosopher. Jake, bruised and humbled, finally broke his silence 2 days later on Instagram. Sitting in a dark room, he said, "I lost the fight, but not the war." The comments were ruthless. "Bro, the war ended in round 3. Others called him delusional, but his fans, loyal to the end, flooded the chat with support. "At least he stepped in the ring," one wrote. Fair point, but nobody could ignore that the influencer revolution had taken its first fatal punch. The shockwaves spread beyond boxing. News outlets that once dismissed the sport were now reporting record-breaking numbers. Pay-per-view sales shattered expectations, making it the most watched combat event in 5 years. The irony? The fight Jake Paul used to prove he belonged ended up proving why he didn't. Tank Davis, meanwhile, became untouchable. His brand skyrocketed. Sponsors lined up. Even his rivals showed respect. Canelo Alvarez tweeted, "Tank brought the sport back tonight." Fans dubbed him boxing's last king. But the man himself stayed quiet. No victory parade, no party footage, just one Instagram post. A picture of his gloves under the caption, "Silence speaks loudest." Still, controversy lingered. Some fans claimed the knockout was staged, that Jake sold it for views. Conspiracy threads popped up faster than highlights, but analysts shut that down quick. The slow-motion replay showed everything. The snap, the torque, the lights-out precision. No acting school in the world could fake that. And then came the real twist. An exclusive leak from Tank's team revealed that he fought with a fractured wrist. The internet exploded again. The man not only